One of the three high-speed train lines Russia plans to construct to link to China will pass through all three countries. The nation's objective is to vigorously increase trade with China and to rapidly restore the domestic economy. Preliminary cost estimates place the undertaking at around $260 billion. This undertaking is difficult without a question, but it is also controversial. Yet once the railway is completed, Russia's condition will improve and might perhaps keep getting better. The present global order may be inferred in large part from the motivations for Russia's building of a railway to China. Russia's economy has been deteriorating in the past, and it has been under pressure from many Western and European parties over the previous 2 years. Historically, Europe has been Russia's primary export market for natural gas. But this year, Europe has ceased buying energy supplies from Russia, and Russia's total exports of energy to Europe have dropped by nearly 50%. Conversely, natural gas exports from Russia to China, home to 1.4 billion people, increased by 63.4% over the same time period, and is a huge market for it. The Chinese consumer market is the largest of any in the world. Moreover, there's the Russia-led China-Europe Railway Express. The opening of Russia's first railway to Xinjiang is another reason to visit China. Only 55 kilometers separate a part of China from Russian territory. Whenever Xinjiang is done, it may become a reality for Russian and Chinese merchants to conduct business over the border. In addition to linking Mongolia and Kazakhstan, China's railway also connects Russia to the north. Russia intends to use this route to send ore and other raw resources to China. Since it was first introduced, this idea has received a lot of attention, and a lot of people in Europe are in favor of it. However, the railway idea has drawn criticism and inquiries from the United. The large Chinese rail network is a contributing factor. A transnational train that travels through China is known as the China-Europe Railway Express. In the past, Western nations did not support this project, but now all nations want to work with China. Since the China-Europe Railway Express can be utilized to deliver freight in the quickest time, more than 10,000 trains will run in 2022, connecting more than 200 cities across 24 European nations, promoting trade between Europe and China. The primary departure location for China-Europe trains this year is Xin. Over 5,000 trains between China and Europe are now entering and exiting. The nation trade between Xinjiang and European nations is active and has grown by 40. During the previous years, Russia intends to construct a railway to Xinjiang. For this reason, however, building this railway is quite challenging despite being only 55 kilometers. This railway was relatively challenging to construct. There are several mountains and jungles along the border. 2 bridges and 3 tunnels must be built over 55 kilometers of difficult terrain-protected regions and ecologically sensitive places. It will take at least 2 years to build the railway if it is to. Russia is keen to construct a railway to China to energetically expand commerce and to make up for market share that Western nations have lost. Furthermore, we can access abundant resources that lead to other nations through China. After the railway is finished, there will unquestionably be a significant boost in Russian exports. Second, the Chinese city of Xinjiang is a popular tourist destination with a special port for agricultural goods. Agricultural products from Xinjiang have recently entered the European market, resulting in a 44.5% rise in the all-value of trade exports. The railway between Russia and Xinjiang, China will be the quickest route between the two nations once it is opened. Second railroad, a high-speed rail project spanning 3 nations is involved. The project was expensive and challenging to construct. The railway is 7,000 kilometers long in total from Beijing, China. Outward, Kazakhstan is the final stop. Before arriving at Moscow, train travel from Russia to Beijing used to take 6 days and 5 nights. It took 2 hours to switch lines. Since the 2 nations' train systems aren't identical, people quite worn out after the entire trip. However, if the high-speed rail is constructed, it will only take 30 hours to go by train from Beijing to Moscow. Why then does America not have high-speed rail? However, Russia intends to build a high-speed rail system to China, although it is still in regular service. Russia's Trans-Siberian Railway is the longest railway in the world, and it is already in need of renovations or repair. High-speed rail has now arrived in Africa as well. High-speed rail is the quickest mode of transportation except airplanes. as demonstrated by its presence in China and Africa. It can spur economic growth and raise people's standards of living in order to improve the relationship between China and Russia. You aware of the project's difficulty? This enormous project, even if it will take longer than 5 years to finish, the wait will be well worth it. China's third railway Russia Railroad Bridge across the Cross River Bridge is the first river railway bridge that connects China and Russia across international border. The project will be finished in April 2022. The railway is 6 kilometers long. In total, a Sino-Russian joint enterprise constructed it. The railway connects Kiros, the largest city in the Far East, west to Europe and travels from Heilongjiang, China to Siberia. The railroad has a 21 million-ton yearly freight capacity. Trade between Russia and Northeast China has surged by 45 since the railway's opening, and the logistical flow has changed from going west to China. Then, if within the context of the project, the two nations want to use the railway to create a new land grain corridor to coordinate the storage and transshipment of some grains through trade exchanges with China, the Trans-BK grain terminal with an annual capacity of 8 million tons is expected to. Russia will raise its own economic standing, and China too depends on the movement of goods to market, many of its own goods to market. Tens of millions of people in both nations now live in Russia, considerably improving their standard of life. Russia is currently experiencing a number of internal issues, and commercial exports have been halted. The only chance for Russia is China. Long-standing stable relations between China and Russia will be very beneficial to both peoples, whether it through access to the Chinese market or Russia's resources. Both nations are capable of progress. Additionally, Kazakhstan may benefit from a reduction in the strain on railway maintenance and operation thanks to the Sino-Russian Railways construction, because China has launched 15,000 China-Europe trains since 2020, half of them passing via Kazakhstan to reach Europe. After the China-Russia railway is finished, half of the trains can be used on other railways, and Russian resources can be transported to Europe via the China-Europe Railway, relieving pressure on the population of that continent. Therefore, Russia needs railways more in order to increase their opportunities. All three of these cross-border railway projects require both parties' unspoken cooperation to be completed because they're in harsh environments and on difficult terrain. Many nations lack optimism about this. Fantastic. Despite the fact that the project has long been divisive in Europe and the United States, Russia will continue to build the railways. The first railway and the remaining 2 routes have been finished. It might take a few years or even longer to complete, but once it does, the country will undergo significant changes, which is a positive development.